What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Talk with Sports with Jake. Hope we're all doing well. So let's get started. Main thing I'm going to talk about today is some trade deadline talk, just a little top five and bottom five. But first off, just want to announce, unfortunately, Hunter Green's out for the year. He's having season-ending elbow surgery. Really tough break for him. Guys has really never been able to stay healthy. His breakout year came in 2024. In 26 starts, had 2.75 ERA. Did hit 19 batters in that season, but Green had 150 and a third innings, 169 strikeouts, did have 57 walks, which is a little much. That comes with about 3.5 per nine. But had a great year. Last year was hurt a bunch, but in 19 starts had 2.76 ERA, 107 and two thirds, had 132 strikeouts against 26 walks. So his walks per nine went from 3.4 to 2.2. But this year, very beginning of the year, I think actually in camp, he gets hurt pretty severely. Comes back, makes five starts, doesn't pitch very well, had a 6.83 ERA in those five starts. Give up 22 runs in 27 and two thirds innings. Did have 33 strikeouts against nine walks, so the stuff was still there. The walks were up a little bit more, but not as much as they were a couple of years ago when he first came up. But it's really the shame. And this is the problem when you have a guy that throws this hard. I think Hunter Green's great. He's an exceptional talent. But the guy throws like 104 miles an hour. You can't do that pitch in and pitch out as a starter. As a reliever, you can kind of get away from that because you're pitching, one inning at a time. Now, I know starters, they start every fifth day. A reliever could be, they could start one day and have a week off. They could pitch 4 days in a row. It could vary. A starter, I'll let their third day off. They throw a bullpen, and then on the day that they start, they have a whole routine they go through, and then they throw as a reliever. The manager calls, hey, you get warmed up, you throw up for 20 minutes, and then you go in the game. So it's completely different. But as a reliever, you're throwing one inning at a time. Even the complete workhorses aren't throwing more than 75 innings in a season. A starting pitcher, you make 30 starts, you're going to have at least 150 innings, maybe 200 innings. So you can't throw 105. Have you been following Paul Skeens? He hasn't had that great of a year. Now, I'm sure there was some regression that was going to happen at some point. His ERA through his first 2 years was under 2, which is just ridiculous. His ERA is almost 4 right now, which still isn't horrible, but it's still a far cry from what it once was, the first 2 years. And the amount of 100-mile-per-hour pitches or 98-mile-per-hour pitches each start from each start of his career to now, it's gone less and less and less and less by a lot. Even Jacob Mizorowski in Milwaukee, who I think is incredible. He should easily win the National League Cy Young. I don't know how long that guy's going to last. That guy goes 105, 106 every time he goes out there. And same thing with Hunter Green. How when he first grew up, he couldn't even command it. Now he's learned a little bit more command. But also, the guy can't stay on the field. He's never given you more than 26 starts in the season. He's given you just 24 in his last 2 seasons. Now he's having surgery. He's out for the rest of the year. Who knows what he's going to look like next year. If you're the Reds, what the heck do you do with the guy? Because you would have probably traded him at this deadline if he was healthy, but he wasn't. So obviously you weren't going to get anything back. So I don't know what they do. So it's really a shame with Hunter Green. But he is done for the year. The A's fired their general manager, David Forst. Forst was there for 20 years. Been the GM, not the whole time, but he's been the GM for a little while. He was the assistant GM. I think he took over from Paul DePodesta. By the way, if you've seen the Moneyball movie, Jonah Hill's character is Paul DePodesta. That wasn't his name in the movie, but that's who he played. And shout out to Matt from Foursquare Sports. He's in the chat on my Twitter space. He said consistent 100, 506 pitches every start, take a toll on the RM. This is an example. Absolutely. Exactly what I'm saying, Matt. Absolutely. Starting pitchers just cannot throw 105, 106. Look at DeGrom. For 4 or 5 years there, he could not stay healthy. Because the guy, as he got older, kept throwing harder to the point where he was throwing 102 often. And look what happened. So, exactly. That is exactly what I'm saying. But with David Forst, he took over Paul DePodesta as assistant GM in 2012. He eventually became a GM under Billy Beane. He basically was the head baseball executive there. Billy Beane is still with the organization, but since 2022, he stepped down as president of baseball ops and moved into a senior advisor role, so like a lesser role in the organization, but he is still working there. But so Force is out. I think I don't think he did a bad job. It's tough when you're such handicap with such a cheap owner in John Fisher in terms of how much you're able to spend. But you look at all these young guys that he's found, from Nick Kurtz to Jacob Wilson to Tyler Soderstrom to Brent Rooker. I think he got Rooker in the trade a bunch of years ago. He got Langeliers in the Sean Murphy trade a couple of years ago, which definitely worked out in the A's favor because Sean Murphy hasn't been great the last couple of years for Atlanta. And Langeliers has turned into a really good power hitting catcher. Unfortunately, he's hurt right now. So he's found a lot of talent, but he just couldn't do the same with the pitching. You look at some of the trades he's made, like giving away Frankie Montas to the Yankees wasn't a bad move because Montas completely fell apart after he got traded. And the main piece he got back was JT Ginn, who has pitched pretty well. But other than that, like Jeffrey Springs, he made a deal with the Rays, gave up 3 prospects for Jeffrey Springs. I think last year he hasn't been very good. Jeffrey Springs, and Matt just said the A's fell apart quick. AL compared from the bottom of the AL. Yeah, they were playing some good baseball in the beginning of the season. The ALS is so bad that like they had a legit shot to win this division even as June was getting started, and just so many injuries. Kirk is on like his second or third IL stint. He's got a thumb injury. Brent Rooker is out for the year. Shane Delirious is out for the year. Just one by one, they just keep dropping like flies. Severino, a guy you brought in last year after a strong bounce back year with the Mets. He wasn't very good last year. This year he started out okay. Then he hurt his shoulder. He's been out for a lot of the year. He's only made 12 starts. Mark Leiter, who you brought in to do some closing. Slow start, but then got hot, was pitching really well. He had season getting hip surgery on his second IL stint, so just injuries really killed them. But I guess ownership and the higher ups of the A's, they wanted to really compete this year. And I thought they were going to. A lot of people also did, and they were earlier in the year. But you just look at the move he's made recently, I guess like the last 2 years, the Jeffrey Springs trade, not working out. Even the Jeff McNeil trade with the Mets. Now, they gave up nothing. They gave up some crappy prospect. The Mets are paying most of his salary. But McNeil's been terrible. He's like a 620 OPS. The guy's been brutal. He has not been good. And just not addressing their pitching staff, I think definitely is what got him fired. Because think about it. If the A's had a slightly above average staff, they may still be in the race. Because offensively, yeah, they have a ton of big guys hurt. Their closer Lyra's hurt, so Hogan Harris is taking over. Lobby has done a good job. If they had a better staff, maybe they wouldn't be so bad. Like maybe they still have a chance. But now you're just so out of it that now you're obviously not going to be going anywhere these last 2 months. You're not going to even sniff the postseason, unfortunately. So that's definitely got him fired. I'd imagine it's a relatively attractive spot for a general manager because of how much young talent that they do have. Hopefully, John Fisher can stop being such a pussy and actually open his pockets and let the GM spend. I mean, look, obviously the A's are the inventor of it, of Moneyball and analytics, the whole win, do more with less. But I think we need to stop with that stupid mentality. I'm kind of tired of it. It just doesn't win World Series. You look at the A's, you look at the Rays. Like the Rays every year are good. And they've been a little more aggressive in recent years with extending guys. They were aggressive at this trade deadline, which was good to see. But like they spent a little bit more money. If the Brewers weren't so goddamn cheap, they would definitely have won at least one ring in the last 7 years. I'm going to talk about their trade deadline, how much I didn't like it coming up. So David Forrest is out in I don't even know what to call them, Vegas/Sacramento, just homeless A's, wherever you want to say they play. The A's GM is out, David Forrest. 2 brief things in the NFL. Titans extend Pierre Scaranci out to the guard, 4 years, $100 million, with $88 million guaranteed. That's a lot of guaranteed money, making the highest paid guard in the league. He's been very good. He's one of the best guards in the league. He was drafted at TCU in 2022. Played him at tackle his first year, which never really made any sense. I always thought he was a guard coming out of college. ever since they moved him to guard a couple of years ago, he's been very, very good. I think last year he was the sixth best guard in football, according to PFF, and the second best pass blocking guard. One of the elite guards in the game. The Titans lock him up. As a lot of interior linemen have gotten big contracts, especially recently. So what happens when an interior lineman like Tyler Linderbaum completely resets the market, signed for $27 million a year, and no one's touched that. But a couple of these guys like Skaronski are getting huge deals. And then, unfortunate injury news for the Washington Commanders. All-pro left tackle Laramie Tunsil tore his tricep. He had surgery, I believe, yesterday. He's going to miss a lot of the season. He's out indefinitely. Tricep's a really rough injury for an offensive lineman. They need their arm strength because you're obviously you're pushing forward, you're pushing back. So if I had to guess, we probably don't see him until about December. So he's probably going to miss at least half the year, probably even more than that. That's tough because you got a young quarterback coming off a major injury in Jane Daniels and a kid who runs a lot, takes a lot of hits, has such a small frame. He needs a strong offensive line. And now you lose definitely your best offensive lineman and one of the best left tackles in the league. Maybe the best overall pass blocker in all of football in Laramie Tunsil. That's a really tough loss for them. And Matt just said Washington is going to be back to square one in the NFC East. Yeah, like 2 years ago, they finally had a great year. You win 13 games, you go to the conference championship. Jaden Daniels has this great year. And last year, so many injuries. You also had 2 years ago, you had so much luck with the one score game. You didn't have that last year, obviously. So they regressed a lot, had so many injuries, but yeah, I don't think they're going to be very good. Jaden coming off an injury, I still believe in his talent, but they have no real running game. They did just sign Stephon Diggs. By the way, it tells you how much of a disaster it is. How much of a disaster Brandon Ayuk is. That Stephon Diggs is a major locker room upgrade from the guy. But yeah, I don't think their defense is all that great. And even with the addition of Diggs, now you lose Tunsil. This is looking like a just one of those years for Washington where there's nothing that is gonna go right. So Tunsil is out for the year. So now I'm going to talk about my top five deadlines and my bottom five deadlines. I'm going to start with my top five. I have three honorable mentions. My first honorable mention goes to the Cleveland Guardians. They made a couple of moves I thought were really, really solid. They go and get Joe Adele from the Angels. Adele's a good player. You give a decent prospect for him, but prospects are prospects. You need to stop hanging on to these like they're our like husband or wife. They're just prospects. Have you ever seen the Family Guy episode of the TV show where it's like you could have a boat or the mystery box? The mystery box could be anything. That mystery box, that's what prospects are. They could be really good. They also could suck. Okay? So stop clinging to your prospects like they're the love of your life. Like they're that stupid dude from the Coldplay cult or hanging on to his mistress. That was a stupid comparison, but it's my show, so I'm allowed to make it. Anyway, Cleveland Guardians. I like what they did. Joe Adele's a good player. Now, last year he was better. I think he had 37 home runs last year. His OPS is under 700 this year, but he came to the Guardians with already having 16 home runs, over 60 RBIs. He's a fantastic defender in the outfield. I believe he's got a year left on his deal as well. I'm actually going to fact check that right now. I know the Angels gave up a bunch of guys with finally who had some term. Joe Adele, yes, he has another year of arbitration next year. I mean, if he don't play a season next year, it won't matter, but he does have another year of arbitration. So that was a very good move. Get yourself a power bat in the outfield, something you really needed. You also add Nate Lau, which is a very good move. Nate Lau, first baseman. He had some really good years in Texas. He kind of fell off a little bit last year. Had a very bad year in Washington. Got DFA'd. Boston picked him up at the end of the year, and he did play very well. He did play better, I guess I should say. He's had a bit of a bounce back year at the plate. He's always been a great defender at first base. He's had a better year at the plate. Right now, he's hitting 267, 13 homers, 43 RBIs with an 824 OPS. To think about much for him. So that was a very underrated move that the Cleveland Guardians made. So I like what they did a lot. My next honorable mention is going to go to the Los Angeles Angels. Now, they would have definitely been in my top five if they continued selling off, if Reed Dempters and Zach Nato also got moved. I think they think to shut this thing down. I would say they should trade Mike Trout, but I think at this point the guy just doesn't want to get traded. He's like, yeah, I'm good, just hanging out over here. Don't worry about me. I'm cool. All right, dude. All right, dude. I guess. But they do get some real prospects back for a lot of these guys. You get a very good return for Jose Soriano. That kid Nimola, the shortstop who was Toronto's number 2 prospect, is going to be very good. You get a couple of good prospects in that deal as well. You make the move to deal like even getting Moises Ballesteros for Xerophon. Ballesteros has been very bad this year, but was a really high talent prospect only a year ago. He hit 290 in like very limited at bats last year, so there's still some talent. He's still really young. And so you finally dealt a bunch of guys with some term and really start to strip that thing down, which needs to happen. You got to sell a prospect for Adele. You got to get a return for Soriano. You got to get a return for Xerophon. I wish they traded Demthers. I know there was a report deal with the Cubs, and then it got said it wasn't true. I'm not sure it was a fake report. Maybe something fell through or something. But I'm not sure what happened with that. But I would have definitely tried to move him. I would have also tried to move Zach Nadal. But they would have easily been in my top 5 deadlines if they had done that. But they did a good job getting finally trading some real pieces. And the Philadelphia Phillies get my honorable mention. I really think the Phillies should have really gone all in, so it's why they don't crock my top 5. But they still did a good job getting yourself an impact bat in Lisa Reyes, who's just such a great hitter, elite bat to ball skills. Is already once again pushing a 330 batting average. He's gonna play first base. You move over to the outfield. You do have to realign your defense, but you've been bad defensively for years. And I don't think Harper is any worse of a defensive outfielder, even at this point in his career, than anything else they have out there. So you might as well just get the better hitter and Arise in the lineup. To me, Arise is a considerably worse defensive first baseman than Harper is. Harper is a considerably better defensive outfielder in right field than whoever the hell they were going to have out there anyway. So I like the Arias move. I like the Brooks Raley move. He's pitched very well for the Mets these last couple of years. Has had a sub 2 ERA this year with the Mets. Very good left-handed reliever. Don't give up much for him. That was a good move. I would have liked to see them, maybe add one more outfielder and really push their chips in because this is an older core that just can't get over the hump and probably in maybe their last chance to do something. So I'm not sure if this is going to be enough, but they definitely did a good job and gave themselves a better chance than they had before the trade deadline with those moves. So now for my top 5 deadlines. Number 5, I'm going to go with the Tampa Bay Rays. I like what they did. The Liam Hicks move was maybe the most underrated move of the deadline. Liam Hicks was really good, a really good power hitting catcher. He hit 14 home runs with the Marlins already. I think he had a grand slam in his first game. He's got 15 or 16 home runs already. He's young. He's got a couple years of control as well. Uh, uh, Liam Hicks. So I thought they did a very good job bringing him over from the Miami Marlins to also get Freddie Peralta. I know Peralta's been so bad this year, and his first start with Tampa was also very bad. But I believe in the race to fix him. The Mets were doing this weird AI bull crap because of that stupid dork in the front office. Thought it would work for whatever stupid reason. And it definitely messed with him. It definitely killed his confidence. And also, the Mets are horrific defensively. He's such a ground ball heavy pitcher. He had an elite defense in Milwaukee. He didn't have that. He has not had that with the Mets. I think it's a much better defensive team, with a much better pitching department in Tampa. He doesn't have to be their ace. He fits best as like a number 2 starter, which in Milwaukee, when you have such a deep uh, staff, he was able to get away with only going 5 and a third every time out there. With the Mets, when they're it's Noel McLean pitching okay and nobody else, he wasn't able to get away with that. That's not really on him. That's on the Mets' terrible roster construction. So I think that he going to the Rays where he can just sit behind Drew Rasmussen. You got a great bullpen behind him, much better infield defense. I think he will eventually pitch a lot better. I really do. So I do like them if they, the prospects you give up. Aiden Hill's an outfielder. I think he's in high A ball. Garrigill Hill, fascinating name, pitcher, but he's just kind of okay. It's the second baseman. Both those guys have playoffs since coming to the Met system, but like they aren't that highly touted. I think it's a fair return to give up for Peralta for Tampa. And then you also get Tyler Wells from the Orioles, very good late inning reliever, having a very good year. He's got a 2.8 or a 2.6 this year. He's even done some closing and he's got another year control. He'll be a really good settlement right in front of their All-Star closer, Brian Baker. So the Rays got themselves an impact bat in Hicks, who is still 27 years old. He hasn't even hit arbitration yet, so he makes nothing. That's an excellent trade for them to make. They go out and get Freddie Peralta. They buy low on him. I do think that he can bounce back with Tampa the rest of the year. And they get a very good reliever in the back end of their bullpen in Tyler Wells. Matt just asked me, does Davidson get fired at season's end? I mean, I hope so. But Steve Cohen publicly backed him out like a month or two ago. He signed a 5-year deal, so he's got 2 more years left on his contract. Knowing Steve Cohen, corrupt, pathetic, rich asshole, he'll probably bring him back. He shouldn't, but all I'm saying is if this was his stupid little hedge fund, Starter would have been fired a year ago, at least. But he doesn't care because he's got his stupid little casino. So he should be fired, absolutely, but I have a feeling he's not going to be, unfortunately. Number 4 in my top 5 trade deadlines is the Toronto Blue Jays. I really like what they did. I think they did the perfect thing of selling off pieces that were expendable and that you're going to lose in a couple of months, keeping the ones that were not super expendable based off your roster construction, and guys you simply weren't going to get a lot back for. Remember, they're still 3 games out of the wild card because the American League is freaking terrible. And you also make the move for Jose Soriano, which makes you better right now, and definitely makes you better next year and the year after. You trade away Varsho, you get Spencer Arrighetti, who is hurt. He got hurt as soon as he got to you in AAA, but is a young pitcher who has pitched well in the past. For Varsho, who hasn't had a good year, you move off Gosman, again, older pitcher on an expiring deal. You had to move him. Got back a couple of good prospects. The kid Bateman, the outfit that you got back, already has come up and he's playing and is hitting well in the major leagues. So you got a good return for him. Got a piece that's already helping you right away. And I don't mind them keeping Shane Bieber and George Springer. Now, if you think you still have a shot, do a little of both. I don't think that's a terrible idea. Normally, I would say either buy or sell. Don't do this little of both things. Sell off every piece, and if you want to make the Soriano move to buy for next year, maybe that's okay. But no, I like when teams do a little bit of buying, a little bit of selling. But because of how bad the American League is this year, we got teams 4 or 5 games under 500 still within striking of a playoff spot. The lockout coming next year, so it's kind of like, what do you have to lose? I think that they did a good job. And adding Soriano, he's got some really good stuff. He's had a very good year. He's got 2 years of control. I think having a better defense behind him than he had in Anaheim will help him. He needs some better command. The Angels catchers over there are terrible pitch framers. Toronto's got some excellent pitch framing with Alejandro Kirk behind the plate. So that will help him a lot as well. So I like the Soriano move a lot. You give up a lot for him. Like I said, I like the Angels getting what they got back for him. But I do like Toronto making the move for Soriano and selling off what you said also. I think they did the right thing. I think they overall did a very good job. 3 is the Boston Red Sox. I think they did a really good job. I know they gave up a lot for Adley Rutschman, but I like them making a swing. The starting pitcher you give up, Ianson, is dealing in Double-A and should be a very good pitcher in a year or two. But you have so much young starting pitching. He was expendable. You give up a couple of other good prospects. You give up Narvaez, who was very good last year, but was terrible this year. Adley is going to be coming back this week. He's had a better year at the plate. I know he had down year at the plate last year. A little better at the plate this year. Still not great, but certainly not horrible. He was elite at the plate for 2 years before last year. and is an elite defender behind the plate. Massive upgrade. I think that's a really good move. Even the Eli White move, you give up Tyler Huberstein, who's a def reliever for Eli White, who's a good defensive outfielder, can play first base. He's got a little bit of power. He's been hitting since he got to Boston over this last week. That was a nice, small move that they made. So I like that move. And I like the Eric Miller move. I know you're giving up Marcel Mayer, who's still really young, but he's been so bad for you. You have so much infield depth. He's gonna be the odd man out in the offseason anyway. Deal him for something that can help you right now. And Eric Miller is a very good left-handed reliever with some very good stuff. Very tough against lefties. I think something that they really needed. He's got some term as well. Eric Miller, he is still has 3 years of arbitration. So I like that deal a lot for the Boston Red Sox, dealing for a very good left-handed reliever in Eric Miller, who, again, a guy who's very tough against lefties. That's going to be huge in the playoffs. He's got 2.5 ERA this year in 41 games and 51 strikeouts in 36 innings, which is very, very good. Number two, I'm going with the Chicago Cubs. They did a great job in recognizing how many injuries they had to the rotation and just saying, screw it, we're going to go for it. I think that they did a very good job going out and getting Clay Holmes and Tyrone Taylor from the Mets home. I know he's hurt, but he's gonna be coming back very soon. Was pitching great at the beginning of the year. Pitched well last year. He's turned into a very good starting pitcher with some really good stuff. That's a big piece to pick up. You trade for his friend and former teammate David Peterson in June, who has been pitching well. After that first couple of starts, was very bad. No surprise at the time with David Peterson, but he's pitched a lot better. And then also you go out and get Kevin Goldsman. That was a really good move. Getting him from Toronto, give up a couple of prospects. He's a good pitcher with some really good stuff. Bit of a down year this year, but still is a good pitcher. He's a great postseason pitcher. I think he will pitch well for the Cubs. His first start, pitch a gem with the Cubs. No real surprise there. And even getting Braxton Garrett from the Marlins. I know he's been in the minor leagues all year, and he has been injured a lot the last couple of years. But a few years ago, he was really good. And is still young. He's got good stuff. I think they could possibly fix him. Maybe as a long-term play. I like that move. You get Tyrone Taylor on the Clay Holmes deal. Taylor's a great defensive outfielder. He's got some power. He's hot right now. I like them getting him as well. He knows the division. He used to play in Milwaukee before he joined the Mets a couple of years ago. And you get Ryan Zarafon from the Angels, who's a very good right-handed reliever in middle relief. Having a great year. Give up Baestros, but again, you don't need him right now. The Blackouts coming next year, got nothing to lose. Be aggressive, and they were. And they got a very good reliever, so I like them adding a slew of bullpen arms. Number one, it is the Los Angeles Dodgers. You got Tarik Ball. To Detroit's credit, I don't think the return is as bad as people are saying it is, but still, for the Dodgers' terms, they didn't give up that much. I think it's possible for a team for their standards, if your farm is deep enough, your team is good enough, the prospects don't really matter. And the team that gets some back, it's actually a good return for them. I think that's the case here with the Dodgers. You get the most talented pitcher in the American League over to your rotation, giving you the best rotation in baseball now once everyone's healthy. Blake Snell's going to finally come back tomorrow. Glasnow's going to follow him, and maybe Ohtani will pitch before the end of the year. Even if Ohtani isn't pitching, your rotation come playoff time is still going to be Tarik Skubal, Yamamoto, Roki Sasaki, and Blake Snell, with Tyler Glasnow coming out of the bullpen. You also bring in Chris Bubic, who's hurt a lot, but when healthy, he's a solid pitcher. He's a guy who will probably be start for you for now with all your injuries. Will be a multi-inning reliever come playoff time. You don't give up much for him. That was a good move. So I just think making that move, that gives them the best deadline. Just saying, screw it, it's going to be a lockout anyway. People hate us anyway. Let's just a little more hate won't hurt anybody. And also making the move to get Chris Bubic, who is not a bad pitcher either. Now, let's do the bottom 5 trade deadlines. So my honorable mentions for bad deadlines, I'm going to start with the Texas Rangers. I didn't really understand. To me, Texas was a team they either had to buy or had to sell, and they did nothing. The only move they made was getting Logan O'Hoppe and Chase Silseth from the Angels. O'Hoppe, by the way, Angels should have traded him last year. Oh, Hop sucked. He's a horrible defender. He reported to AAA right away. He's still there. He's just 209 for 565 OPS. You know you're bad when Texas's catchers this year are Elias Diaz and Austin Wins, and they get Logan O'Hop, and immediately like, all right, you can go to the minor leagues. So I don't really care about you. And then Chase Silseth, he's better than he's a reliever. He's had a pretty good year. His year is a 2.89 in 51 games. His whip is 1.4, which is not very good. So he's a fine middle reliever. So you get a solid bullpen arm. But on that, I would have either said because of how bad the AL West is, you're in playoff position. Really make one more run with this older core and go for it, or just sell off. Sell off all of these pieces. I know they tried to trade Jacob DeGrom. They had a trade in to send him to Atlanta. DeGrom didn't want to go there. He blocked the trade because he has the no trade clause. I would have tried to get him maybe Corey Seager's money. Maybe try and get Nathan Eovaldi's deal. Even Brendan Nimmo. They could have done a lot. I know they floated Mackenzie Gore. I think has a year left plus an option. They floated Jacob Latch, their all-star closer. Nothing happened. They had an opportunity to either add a couple of pieces and give themselves a legit chance of winning the AL West, or sell off and really retool for the future, which I wouldn't have behooved them for. I would have behooved them for doing that, and they did neither. So that didn't really make any sense to me. Astros also getting an honorable mention. The only move they made was getting Varsho. He's a great defender in the outfield, in center field, but he has not hit well this year. Hitting like 230 with like a 680 OPS, something like that. The power has been there this year. Only has 7 home runs this year. I know he's got good speed and he's an elite defender in the outfield. But to give up a young pitcher in Narragansett, he wasn't pitching well for you. But for a team that's so pitching starved, another team, they should have either tried to really buy and try to and hang out the first place and really make a one last run, or sell off. Stop Jeremy Pena, try and get out of some of these bigger contracts like Hader's deal, even Altuve. I mean, if you were to trade Jordan Alvarez in the store, you get a king's ransom if you really were to look into that. We thought they earlier in the year when they were struggling, we thought they might. Didn't end up happening, but the Astros didn't like what they did. What they did, they didn't do enough. They should have picked a direction. Also, the Twins. So the moves they made weren't terrible. Like getting AJ Minter, you give up Bruno Agbayani, who's still 19 in A-ball, and Billy Amick. He's got some legit power, but Minter's a good left-handed reliever. You pick up Jeff Hoffman, who has pitched a lot better in a setup role. He's always been a good setup man. He's not a closer. But why'd you buy? You should have sold off Joe Ryan, sold off Buxton, flip Ryan Jeffers. That's what should have happened. Their moves they made weren't horrific. Like the Jeff Hoffman trade, they gave up Dason Hill, who's pretty good. Demore Pena's not a bad prospect. John Klein's is a death piece. He's not great. He's going to throw in. So you didn't give up like a whole lot for Hoffman, who in the right role could be a good reliever for you, but he's got him next year at 13 million, but I just don't know why they bought. So, but the moves they made weren't. They didn't give up horrible value for them, and they did improve their bullpen, obviously, but they should have sold. They should have just finished selling. Now for the actual bottom five deadlines, according to Talkin Sports with Jake. Number 5 is the Kansas City Royals. I definitely should have sold off a little bit more. You trade Lane Thomas to Atlanta, along with you threw Bailey Falter in my trade. Fine, he was a pending free agent. I really thought you should have traded away Michael Waka and Seth Lugo. You're not going anywhere. I know you were good not that long ago, but Michael Waka, I know he has another year left at 14 million plus a team option in 2028 for 14 million. So he has a guaranteed year plus a possible another year. But he's a very good pitcher. He's very reliable. He can pitch deep into the ballgame. He's had a good year. You could have gotten a very good return for him. And I don't see this team really going anywhere anytime soon. So I would have traded him. And even Seth Lugo. I know Lugo's had a slight down year. He's been really good these last couple of years since Kansas City brought him in. Since leaving the Mets and being a full-time starter, he's really blossomed. I know he recently got an extension, and he's due $21.5 million next year. He had a conditional club option for 28. But again, he's got enough of a track record, even at his age and with his salary, that you could have gotten a good return for them. So I would have stripped those two guys down as well. And then you flip Chris Beebe, you got what you could for him. But I really wish they would really have embraced the youth movement in Kansas City, and they didn't do it. So I didn't love what Kansas City did. Number four is the Cincinnati Reds. Do the Reds really think they have a chance with Hunter Green shut down and this group? Like you flipped Nate Lau, okay, cool, good on you for doing that. But you had so many guys you could have flipped. You had a couple of good relievers in your closer Emilio Pagana and your setup guy in Brock Burke. You could have flipped. Tyler Stevenson, your catcher, was crying after a game right before the deadline. He thought he was getting traded, and he survives. Why did you not deal him? Okay, I know he hasn't had a good year at the plate, but he's hit better than this year in the past. He's a very good defender behind the plate. You could have easily moved him. A lot of teams needed catchers, and there weren't a lot of catchers available. Teams were scared of the Adley Rushman medicals. No one's with the price for Hunter Goodman. Langeliers was hurt, so obviously that takes him off the table. There weren't a lot of guys available. That's why, a team with the Rays turned to Liam Hicks, and they kind of got lucky they were able to steal him from the Marlins. That's why a team called the Mets about Alvarez and Luis Torrens, because teams just needed catchers. No one else was available. Why did you not deal him? It doesn't make any sense. I don't know why you did not deal him. And Brady Singer, he's not an ace by any means. He's got like a 4.5 ERA, but he's a serviceable fifth starter. Somebody would have thrown you a okay prospect for him to join the back of the rotation. I don't know why you didn't deal him. Like, you're not going anywhere. You're in last place in the Central. You're not playing well. You haven't been playing well for a while. Like, even Eugenio Suarez, he hasn't been good this year, but he hit 4 home runs last year. Somebody would have given you something for him. Like, I don't know why you kept the 6 other pending free agents on that roster. Just terrible, terrible asset management from the Reds front office. Number 3 is the Milwaukee Brewers. You had a real chance to really put a gap between you and the Dodgers heading to this lockout. You're really close. You're very good. You're so good at evaluating talent. You have so much young talent. And you count with Dustin May, Antonio Sensatella, and Jojo Romero. Not enough. They could have made the trade for Tarik Skubal easily, and they didn't pull the trigger. I don't understand. They could have went out and got a real bat, and they didn't do it. Dustin May deal fine. He's had an okay-ish year. He's got a 4.3 ERA. He's probably a better fourth star than, Brendan Sproat right now or Robert Gasser. Kyle Harrison's back. I get it. And Jojo Romero is a very good reliever. He gets Sensatella from the Rockies. He's had a career making the moves to the bullpen this year. Has a team option worth $14 million for next year. He's had a very good year this year as a reliever. So they're already good bullpen. It gets even better. You add an okay starting pitcher, but you could have done so much more. At least go out and get like Nate Lau and upgrade at first base. Go and get an outfielder, a Lane Thomas, something. And they didn't do any of that. I don't understand why. And I'm not saying give up Jesus Mate. And Matt just commented, I want the puff for the Brewers to win the NL so bad, but I think ownership has gotten in the way. I think you're right, Matt. That team is really good. They have a ton of young talent. They're a very good ball club. Every year they're contending. And they're a very likable group. And again, I'm like you. I would love to see them win the whole thing. But if they just spent a little bit of money, they would be unstoppable. But they refuse to do it. And I don't understand. Okay? It makes zero sense. And this team has such good pitching. You're so good defensively. And you have a couple of good bats. You're very well coached. Their analytical departments and all this is top notch in the league. And they just don't spend a lick of money. I just don't understand. Part of it is I get it. Why pay Freddie Peralta if we can make him in the aggregate? Why pay Willie Adams if we can make him in the aggregate? Trading away Peralta was the right move. Trading away Devin Williams, it looked like a terrible trade at the time, ended up being the right move. Even trading Caleb Durbin for Kyle Harrison. Durbin's played a lot better, so it's kind of been a win-win. But they got a lot out of that deal, Letting Willie Adams go was the right move. So I get it, they're a great organization. Matt Arnoldson done a very good job, but the lack of aggressiveness at this deadline was really, really just pathetic and really honestly leaves them at a disadvantage heading into the postseason. I know they got a good chance of having a bye in the National League, and they are going to contend to an extent. They're very good, but they have a chance to really put themselves in a position to be the prime candidate to win the World Series this year, and I think that's going to cost them. Number two is the New York Yankees. I don't understand. I mean, as someone who hates the Yankees, I thought it was funny that it didn't go all in. Your window is like being held up by like a twig. Like the window is like, see my hands? It's like open this, but like this, and then a twig is holding it up. Aaron Judge is hurt, and he's 34 years old. Stanton is 1,000. He's been hurt since April. Bellinger's hurt. He's getting older. Jazz is a pending free agent. He's not that young. Garrett Cole's really old. Rodon's an older pitcher. Like, your team is ancient. Bednar's going to be a free agent. The only real young pieces you have on this team is Cam Schlittler, who's had a great year. He might win Cy Young. Ben Rice at first base. He's got 30-something home runs. He has been struggling last few weeks, but overall has had a very good year. And you just called up George Lombard, who hasn't looked good since getting called up. He was hitting 340 in AAA, which is nuts. He's not going to do that in the major leagues, obviously. He's not going to hit 340 as a rookie in the major leagues, but better than Anthony Volpe, who I do not know what they see in him. I don't know if he has a like black file with Cashman's name on it or something. I don't understand. Matt just said Brian Cashman is losing his touch. We need a catcher, and he doesn't pull the trigger. And the excuses, we're getting our guys back. Yes, as you sure have probably put two together by now, because Matt tunes in all the time, and he's a Yankees fan. So yes, Cashman is. I'm sorry, he's a bitch. He's the biggest bitch of any GM besides David Stearns in all of baseball. Okay, you have the assets to make these moves and go all in and win a World Series. You have all the money in the world. Why won't you do it? And then he just said, Aaron was a hard on for Anthony Volpe. Yeah, I don't know what they see in that guy. Unless Volpe has some sort of files on those new guys. I don't know what they have on. I don't know what they see in the guy. But your only real young talent is Ben Rice, Cam Fittler, and I think George Lombard. I think he's going to be a great player. He was the 20th best prospect in baseball heading into the year. He's looked good since getting called up last week, but we still need to actually see it. Go all in. And the moves he made weren't terrible. Luis Garcia is a good player. He's had a great year. The kid rakes. He's got, 25 home runs or something like that. Like almost 80 RBIs. He's top 3 in OPS and he leads the league in slugging. The kid can rake. Terrible defender, but he can rake. If you're going to get up 4 prospects, I thought it should have been for something you needed a little bit more and not a first baseman. You have too many lefties already, although left-handed hitters in Yankee Stadium rule because the porch is so short so they can easily hit the ball out of the ballpark. But then when you're playing in the wild card in the playoffs and you're playing mostly road games, that doesn't work so well for you, does it? Like, Javier Ramos is a fine move. Solid player. He's a decent hitter. He's got 3 years of control. Give up a couple of prospects. Also a horrible defender. I get you need a right-handed bat, and you got one. You need another outfielder with all the injuries, and you got one. But you could have done better. And how does this team not bring in a catcher? Your catchers are hitting. I saw a stat. It was like a week and a half ago. Their catchers as a whole were hitting 181. Austin Wells is hitting like 159 this year. I think he's the worst hitter statistically in all of Major League Baseball. JC Escarra has not been much better. Their starting catcher is Ali Sanchez. He's a third-string catcher on most of the teams in the MLB. He'd be a third-string catcher on the disaster that is the New York Mets. Okay? That guy's your starting catcher, and you didn't go out and get a catcher. It's one thing you didn't want to pay the astronomical price for Hunter Goodman. I still would have done it, but you didn't want to do it. Whatever. You were scared of Adley's medicals? Grow a set and make the move, okay? Your window is this open, okay? It is about to close, your window. It is literally about to close. Oh my God, Matt just said, Matt just told me in the chat, Wells was batting 156. Holy mackerel. Jesus. Everyday player, by the way. Wow. 156. That's absolutely insane. Like, why not pay the price for Rushman? We're not going to have a year next year. Aaron Boone's been here for 9 years. You cannot get over the hump. You have them to get over it. Go all in. There is no excuse to, and you didn't bring in a single catcher. This lineup, come playoff day, might feature Austin Wells, who is statistically the worst hitter in the major leagues. Ryan McMahon, who can't freaking hit. Jazz Chisholm's only hitting like 220, 230 this year. Those three guys all might be in the lineup. And you never know. If Lombard doesn't really spark them, maybe Volpe gets back in there. And we all know, come playoff time, that guy can't be trusted. He had some of the worst I've ever seen in the playoffs last year. And I get it. You are going to get Aaron Judge look back, it looks like, in the next month. That will help. You will probably get Cody Bellinger back in September. That will help. We all know how good Aaron Judge is. We know how good Cody Bellinger is. First of all, Bellinger hit like 150 in the playoffs last year. Judge's a 230 hitter in the playoffs for his career. So I'm not sure how much is even going to help you come playoff time. But why did you not go all in? You had a major glaring need at catcher. There were catchers available. You could have paid the price for Adley Rushman. You could have went out and got Tyler Stevenson easily. At least you got a good defender who's at least serviceable hitter. He would have been way better than what you had, and you didn't do it. Why? It's one thing if you have, like, you got Aaron Judge and Cody Bellinger come back to help you in the lineup and then the outfield. But you don't have a catcher come off the IL. You don't have one sitting in the minor to come up and fix you like that. So I don't understand what they were doing. And not to bring in a single bullpen arm, in fact, they subtracted from it. They just gave away Camilo Doval. I know Doval sucks, but what is that much better than him? He was really good a couple of years ago in San Fran. He has got 2 years of control left. You just gave away Jake Bird. You got Garcia back, I get it. He's been very bad. Even in Colorado, he wasn't great, but what do you have that's that much better? Like, you have a good closer in Ben, though. I won't say he's great. Cruz is struggling. Tim Hill's been terrible. Ryan Yarbrow's been terrible. This bullpen is very flawed and not that good. I get their starting rotation is incredible. You'll have probably a guy like, maybe like a Ryan Weathers or somebody will be in the bullpen come playoff time, which will help. But the fact that you not only didn't add to your bullpen, you subtracted from it, just pathetic and hilarious by the New York Yankees. If they don't get out of the American League in this pathetic AL, man, that is embarrassing. I'll have a field day. If you're a Yankee fan and that happens, I will be laughing in your face personally. So prepare yourself for that. I don't think they'll lose early in the playoffs because the AL is a complete joke. But if you do, be ready. And number one is the Atlanta Braves. Did Alex Anthopoulos forget when the trade deadline was? Like, he fell asleep at the wheel. Like, getting Lane Thomas is not bad. Matt just said in the chat, what's freaking crazy is the Yankees bullpen for number one ERA despite the meltdowns. Yeah, it's kind of weird how I think a lot of it has to do with their starting pitching is so good, so they go so deep into games. So their bullpen isn't taxed, so they're so fresh. So, but I still think they're flawed, and I think they're going. Still don't trust them to come play out them. Yes, their ERA is very good, and they're not the worst bullpen in the league by any means. They're not even the worst bullpen that's going to be in the playoffs. Like Arizona might make the playoffs, they probably will. That's a worse bullpen than the Yankees for sure, but it's not good enough. I guarantee that. Braves, what were you doing? Tyler Mahle and Bailey Falter are not enough. This rotation has a ton of injuries. Stride's been out most of the year. Schwellenbach's been out all year. Sale, we know how old he is and his arm issues. We think Grant Holmes and Martin Perez is enough behind. And Bryce Alvarez pitched pretty well. The youngster, he's obviously very inconsistent. That's not enough behind Chris Sale. Okay? That is not enough. You could, again, I know they're talking about Scuball. You could have done that deal. I know the DeGrom thing fell through, but with DeGrom, always met kudos to him for hating the Braves. But you could have, they should have done what the Padres did. The Padres went out and got Casey Mize and Robbie Ray, 2 good starting pitchers. That should have been them. You get those 2 guys who have an ace in Sale. You get 2 very good other stars, Robbie Ray and Casey Mize, who have pitched in the playoffs before. You have confidence in them come playoff time. Grant Holmes or Martin Perez as your 4. One of them moves to an already good bullpen. Maybe you get Schwellenbach back very late in the year as a multi-inning guy in the pen. Same thing with Strider. Maybe it's possible. And all you do, you go and get a league average outfielder at best in Lane Thomas, and you get a struggling starting pitcher in Tyler Mahle, and to this point this year, a very bad pitcher in Bailey Falter. Just a horrific trade deadline that I just do not understand. Again, they could have given themselves a real shot to beat the Dodgers, and I don't think they're going to have that because they just do not have enough starting pitching depth behind Chris Sale. All right, that is all I have for you guys today. Thank you to Matt for jumping in the chat. Come by anytime. Until next time, so long, and have a great day.